The number of simultaneous equations to be solved in the slope deflection method is equal to a. The degree of statical indeterminacy, b. The degree of kinematic indeterminacy, c. The number of joints in the structure, d. None of the above. The correct answer is the number of joints in the structure. Maximum size of a fillet weld for a plate of square edge is a. 1.5 mm less than the thickness of the plate, b. 1/2 of the thickness of the plate, c. thickness of the plate itself, d. 1.5 mm more than the thickness of the plate. The correct answer is 1.5 mm less than the thickness of the plate. The treatment that should be given to the water from a deep tube well is a. Pre-settling only, b. coagulation and flocculation only, c. filtration only, d. disinfection only. The correct answer is disinfection only. On sag or valley curves, the available sight distance is determined based on a. design speed, b. height of obstacle, c. height of driver I, d. nighttime driving conditions. The correct answer is height of driver I. In a steady radial flow into an intake, the velocity is found to vary as 1r2, where r is the radial distance. The acceleration of the flow is proportional to a. 1r5, b. 1r3, c. 1r4, d. 1r. The correct answer is 1r5. The wall shown in the below figure has failed. The cause of failure or the error made in the design of the failed wall is a. deep slip surface failure, b. overturning, c. no proper drainage in the clay backfill, d. translational failure. The correct answer is overturning. The span to depth ratio limit is specified in IS 456 to 1978 for the reinforced concrete beams, in order to ensure that the a. tensile crack width is below a limit, b. shear failure is avoided, c. stress in the tension reinforcement is less than the allowable value, d. deflection of the beam is below a limiting value. The correct answer is deflection of the beam is below a limiting value. Some of the structural strength of a clayey material that is lost by remolding is slowly recovered with time. This property of soils to undergo an isothermal gel-to-soil to gel transformation upon agitation and subsequent rest is termed a. isotropy, b. anisotropy, c. thixotropy, d. allotropy. The correct answer is thixotropy. The capacities of one-way 1.5 m wide sidewalk persons per hour, and one-way two-lane urban road PCU per hour, with no frontage access, no standing vehicles and very little cross traffic, are respectively a. 1,200 and 2,400. B. 1,800 and 2,000, C. 1,200 and 1,500, D. 2,000 and 1,200. The correct answer is 1,200 and 2,400. Is 459 to 1978 recommends to provide certain minimum steel in a RCC beam. A. To ensure compression failure. B. To avoid rupture of steel in case a flexural failure occurs. C. To hold the stirrup steel in position. D. To provide enough ductility to the beam. The correct answer is to avoid rupture of steel in case a flexural failure occurs. Shear stress develops on a fluid element if a. The fluid is at least b. The fluid container is subject to uniform linear acceleration. C. The fluid is inviscid. D. The fluid is viscous and the flow is non-uniform. The correct answer is The fluid is viscous and the flow is non-uniform. A hydraulic turbine has a discharge of 5 m3s, when operating under a head of 20 m with a speed of 500 rpm. If it is to operate under a head of 15 m, for the same discharge, the rotational speed in rpm will approximately be A 433, B 403, C 627, D 388. The correct answer is 433. A nozzle discharging water under head H has an outlet area, A, and discharge coefficient CD is equal to 1.0. A vertical plate is acted upon by the fluid force Fj when held across the free jet and by the fluid force Fn when held against the nozzle to stop the flow. The ratio Fj-Fn is A half, B1, C2, D2. The correct answer is 1. A hydraulic turbine develops a power of 10 metric horsepower while running at a speed of 100 revolutions per minute, under a head of 40 m. Its specific speed is nearest to one of the following: A 100, B 628, C 523, D 314. The correct answer is 100. The Prandtl mixing length for turbulent flow through pipes is A. Independent of shear stress, B. A universal constant, C. 0 at the pipe wall, D. Independent of radial distance from pipe axis. The correct answer is independent of shear stress. A 40 degrees slope is excavated to a depth of 10 m in a deep layer of saturated clay of unit weight 20 kN.m. 3. The relevant shear strength parameters are Cu is equal to 70 kN.m. 2 and U is equal to 0. The rock ledge is at a great depth. The Taylor's stability coefficient for U is equal to 0 and 40 degrees slope angle is 0.18. The factor of safety of the slope is A 2.0, B 2.1, C 2.2, D 2.3. The correct answer is 2.0. Lysimeter and tensiometer are used to measure respectively one of the following groups of quantities: A. Capillary potential and permeability, B. Evapotranspiration and capillary potential, C. Velocity in channels and vapor pressure, D. Velocity in pipes and pressure head. The correct answer is evapotranspiration and capillary potential. The ruling minimum radius of horizontal curve of a national highway in plain terrain for ruling design speed of 100 km/h with E is equal to 0.07 and F is equal to 0.15 is close to A 250 m, B 360 m, C 36 m, D 300 m. The correct answer is 360 m. Principle involved in the relationship between submerged unit weight and saturated weight of a soil is based on A. Equilibrium of floating bodies, B. Archimedes' principle, C. Stokes' law, D. Darcy's law. The correct answer is Archimedes' principle. The kinetic energy correction factor for a full developed laminar flow through a circular pipe is A 1.00, B 1.33, C 2.00, D 1.50. The correct answer is 2.00. The slope of the E log P curve for a soil mass gives A. Coefficient of permeability K, B. Coefficient of consolidation CV, C. Compression index CC, D. Coefficient of volume compressibility MV. The correct answer is compression index CC. The modulus of subgrade reaction is obtained from the plate bearing test in the form of load-deformation curve. The pressure corresponding to the following settlement value should be used for computing modulus of subgrade reaction. A 0.375 cm, B 0.175 cm, C 0.125 cm, D 0.250 cm. The correct answer is 0.125 cm. X component of velocity in a 2D incompressible flow is given by U is equal to y2 plus 4xy. If y component of velocity v equals 0 at y is equal to 0, the expression for v is given by A for y, B to y2, C to y2, D to xy. The correct answer is 2y2. Consolidation in soils. A is a function of the effective stress. B does not depend on the present stress. C is a function of the pore water pressure. D is a function of the total stress. The correct answer is a function of the pore water pressure. The minimum area of tension reinforcement in a beam shall be greater than A 0.85 BD Fy, B 0.87 Fy BD, C 0.04 BD, D 0.4 BDY. The correct answer is 0.85 BD Fy. In an iceberg, 15% of the volume projects above the sea surface. If the specific weight of sea water is 10.5 kN.m3, the specific weight of iceberg kN.m3 is A 12.52, B 9.81, C 8.93, D 7.83. The correct answer is 8.93. A reinforced concrete column contains longitudinal steel equal to 1% of net cross-sectional area of the column. Assume modular ratio as 10. The loads carried using the elastic theory by the longitudinal steel and the net area of concrete, are PS and PC respectively. The ratio PS/PC expressed as percent is A 0.1, B 1, C 1.1, D 10. The correct answer is 10. A steady discharge of 1 cumec flows uniformly in a rectangular channel 1 m wide at a depth of 250 mm. The slope of the channel bed is A adverse, B steep, C critical, D mild. The correct answer is adverse. In reinforced concrete, pedestal is defined as compression member, whose effective length does not exceed its least dimension by A 12 times, B 3 times, C 16 times, D 8 times. The correct answer is 3 times. Flexible pavements derive stability primarily from A aggregate interlock particle friction and cohesion, B cohesion alone, C the binding power of bituminous materials, D the flexural strength of the surface cores. The correct answer is aggregate interlock particle friction and cohesion. The permissible bending tensile stress in concrete for the vertical wall of an RC water tank made of M25 concrete is A 8.5 Nmm2, B 6.0 Nmm3, C 2.5 Nmm2, D 1.8 Nmm2. The correct answer is 1.8 Nmm2. The cylinder strength of the concrete is less than the cube strength because of A the difference in the shape of the cross-section of the specimens, B the difference in the slenderness ratio of the specimens, C the friction between the concrete specimens and the steel plate of the testing machine, D the cubes are tested without capping but the cylinders are tested with capping. The correct answer is the difference in the slenderness ratio of the specimens. A water treatment plant is required to process 28,800 m3d of raw water. Density is equal to 1000 kg m3. Kinematic viscosity is equal to 10 to 6 m2s. The rapid mixing tank imparts tank a velocity gradient of 900 s1 to blend 35 mgl of alum with the flow for a detention time of 2 minutes. The power input W required for rapid mixing is A 32.4, B 36, C 324, D 32,400. The correct answer is 32,400. A single rapid test to determine the pollutional status of river water is A. Biochemical oxygen demand, B. Chemical oxygen demand, C. Total organic solids, D. Dissolved oxygen. The correct answer is total organic solids. Vane tester is normally used for determining in situ shear strength of A. Soft clays, B. Sand, C. Stiff clays, D. Gravel. The correct answer is soft clays. For the frame shown in the below figure, the maximum bending moment in the column is A. 0, B. 400 kN/m, C. 100 kN/m, D. 200 kN/m. The correct answer is 400 kN/m. In a compaction test, as the compaction effort is increased, the optimum moisture content A. decreases, B. remains same, C. increases, D. increases first and thereafter decreases. The correct answer is decreases. The peak discharge of the instantaneous unit hydrograph of a basin, when compared to the peak discharge of a 4-hour unit hydrograph of that basin, would be A. greater, B. equal, C. equal or lesser, D. lesser. The correct answer is greater. The drop manholes are provided in a sewerage system when there is A. change in alignment of sewer line, B. change in size of sewers, C. change in the elevation of ground level, D. change from gravity system to pressure system. The correct answer is change in the elevation of ground level. The reaction time for calculation of stopping distance may be assumed as A. 5 secs, B. 2.5 C. 0.5 D. 10.0 secs. The correct answer is 2.5 The percentage error in the computed discharge over a triangular notch corresponding to an error of 1% in the measurement of the head over the notch would be A. 1.0, B. 1.5, C. 2.0, D. 2.5. The correct answer is 2.5. The characteristic strength of concrete is defined as that compressive strength below which not more than A. 10% of results fall, B. 5% of results fall, C. 2% of results fall, D. none of the above. The correct answer is 5% of results fall. Unfactored maximum bending moments at a section of a reinforced concrete beam resulting from a frame analysis are 50, 80, 120 and 180 kN/m under dead, live, wind and earthquake loads respectively. The design moment kN/m as per IS 456 to 2000 for the limit state of collapse flexure is A. 195, B. 250, C. 345, D. 372. The correct answer is 372. The microbial quality of treated piped water supplies is monitored by A. microscopic examination, B. plate count of heterotrophic bacteria, C. coliform MPN test, D. identification of all pathogens. The correct answer is Coliform MPN test. The 5-day board of a wastewater sample is obtained as 190 mgl with K is equal to 0.01 H1. The ultimate oxygen demand mgl of the sample will be A 3800, B 475, C 271, D 190. The correct answer is 271. A tube well having a capacity of 4 m3r operates for 20 hours each day during the irrigation season. How much area can be commanded if the irrigation interval is 20 days and depth of irrigation is 7 cm? A 1.71 x 10⁴ m2, B 1.14 x 10⁴ m2, C 22.9 x 10⁴ m2, D 2.29 x 10⁴ m2. The correct answer is 2.29 x 10⁴ m2.